All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's show. All right, we got a pretty big story for you today. And so this is what it is. The Senate is on the verge of passing banking deregulation legislation that leading consumer protection groups and financial experts warn could make another financial crisis more likely. One of the supporters of this bill is Alabama's good old freshman Democratic Senator Doug Jones. Jones eked out a surprising win in deep red Alabama in last year's special election thanks to the help of thousands of Democratic volunteers. Now, many of those who worked their butts off to elect him are openly petitioning him to withdraw his support of the deregulation bill. The University of Alabama Huntsville College Democrats organized an open letter to Jones reminding him that the government spent our taxpayer dollars to bail out the banks whose risky, unregulated practices caused the crisis. We must not embark on a path that could potentially cause the next Great Recession and, as a consequence, a next big bank bailout with our taxpayers' dollars. The letter praised the senator's willingness to meet with and listen to constituents and respect for requests that he opposes the deregulation legislation. So, and by the way, in there, the Doug Jones, who by the way looks a lot like a blobfish, which shows you his firmness in Democratic positions. No, it doesn't, but it still is a pretty good indicator of them. And they're about as strong. His Democratic positions are probably about as strong to his head right now as his comb over. I'm being a little bit mean, I know. I apologize, but Doug Jones, what are you doing? You need to not vote for this bill. It is very important that you don't. But not like it's not going to pass anyway, because there's going to be 15 other Democrats who vote for it. The letter was co-authored by Dakota Layton, who's the president of the University of Huntsville, Alabama College Democrats. He told The Intercept that he agrees with the 99% of Jones' voting record, but he draws the line at the banking bill. But I really wonder what Jones' voting record is, but it's a little strange. But some of the letter he wrote is, you have shown in the past you're willing to listen to your constituents. That's admirable and certainly is a rare virtue in politicians today. Listen to our plea in this letter. The regulation of big banks shouldn't even be on your radar. Preach, Dakota Layton. I totally agree with you there. He explained that when the legislation was introduced, the college Democrats chapter supported it. It originally started as something to relieve community banks, and we initially wanted to support that effort. He conceded, but as time went on, they kept adding things to the bill that ended up being giveaway to the big banks. Surprise, surprise. That is kind of what they do. It's kind of their job because a lot of them are paid in campaign contributions. I feel like I've said this a billion times, but it's true, and it's something that is worth repeating over and over and over again. But yeah, he and his letter co-author, Jacob Morrison, the organization's executive director, read about how the bill would weaken supervision of some large banks in outlets like Vox and The Intercept. I think we covered that on the show like last week or something. I remember talking about like Deutsche Bank was one of the problems. And the more they learned, the more they turned against the bill, until eventually decided in early March that they should organize a letter to petition the senator to oppose it. Making these demands to Jones wasn't easy for the pair. They had worked very hard to elect him to the Senate. I knocked on 300 doors, probably made about 500 phone calls, Morrison noted. We just don't see how the deregulation bills line with the values of the Democratic Party. I hate to be like acting like this, but come on, like we're not getting this here. You guys weren't the only ones who helped. I'm guessing. I haven't seen his campaign FEC report, but I'm getting a feeling that it is a lot of big banks or something to do with big banks. And he pledged to come in as a moderate, so that means if there's a certain amount of Democrats voting for it, he also feels pressured to do that. But if I type in, I'm being very interested. I have no idea what's going on here. All right, so I'm just typed in Doug Jones campaign contributors, opensecrets.org here. He has raised $21 million, which is quite a lot. Small individual contributions very important. Large individual contributions and PAC contributions are pretty big. Source of funds, and then there's Roy Moore. It doesn't seem to be the places he got it from. But it looks like good thing is he got a big majority of it from 60% of it from 60% of it from small individual contributions, which is good, but large individual contributions made up 39% and $8 million. So I wonder where those came from, but unfortunately I can't really see. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, making these demands, it's very easy for the pair. Layton even hosted Jones at a rally and the eve of the election, encouraging people across party lines to be open to the senator's message, saying, "Our hope is that Senator Jones will remove his name from the list of co-sponsors and convince his other Democratic colleagues to do the same in order to block the bill from passing." So, all right. That is going to be something important. No one really wants to see this bill passed at all. And if it doesn't, then I think it'll be a victory. And if these people can't convince Doug Jones, they have a lot of work to do in other places, granted, but it will be a big step forward in the right direction. All right, 45 seconds. We have the big Yemen story that we promised to get to. That is very, very important, so you should stick around for that. You can't stop listening to the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show today. We are going to be very, very busy, and we are very, very busy today. So thank you so much for staying with us. Under the Trump administration, the U.S. government and weapons manufacturers are making a killing, literally, through arms sales to other countries. A report released by the Safety Assistance Monitor, documented that more than $80 billion worth of arms sales notifications were sent to Congress in 2017. The massive arms sales during President Donald Trump's first year of office amounted to $5.7 billion more than President Obama's administration proposed. During its final year in 2016, Barack Obama's banner year for sales, 2010, saw $102 billion worth of government-to-government sales proposed. Owing to the spate of large sales under both administrations, the U.S. has maintained its role as the biggest arms exporter in the world. A report released on Monday by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or SIPRI, I guess you could say, an international institute researching conflict and armaments. The U.S. was responsible for 34% of the entire world's arms exports from 2013 to 2017. Russia follows right behind with 22% of the world's exports. So the U.S. is creating. If you wonder why people aren't so comfortable with us, is because we give most of their oppressors the arms. For example, places like Saudi Arabia, they go and bomb the hell out of Yemen, and we give them arms. You've heard about the Saudi Arabia. You've heard about probably seen pictures of the crisis in Yemen. That is in large part due to the United States, because we give the Saudis arms to go bomb them, and everyone knows it's happening. If I know it's happening, then everyone knows it's happening. and we still don't really try to control our actions, which is really the incredible stuff. So all the while, U.S. arms manufacturing corporations have been raking in tremendous amounts of cash so they get what they put into these candidates. They literally put in so much. For example, people like Lindsey Graham, who were okay with us bombing North Korea, contributed by Lockheed Martin, ranked first, brought to you by, bought and paid for by places like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, etc., ranked first for arms sales by SIPRI, have been steadily on the rise since 2013. Stocks for the Boeing Company, which ranks second, another big defense contractor, have also been on the rise since 2013, but rose at an accelerated pace in 2017, where you're literally making money here. The corporations are making money off of people who are dying and passing away here because of our arms, not at home, obviously, but in places like in the Middle East, primarily the Middle East, and other places where there is major fighting going on that we are supporting. And normally we aren't giving arms to the Yemenis here. So all the while, U.S. arms manufacturing corporations, they've been raking it in, and the report from the Security Assistance Monitor, a program of the Center for International Policy that tracks and analyzes the U.S. security assistance programs worldwide, notes another difference between the Obama and Trump administration sale proposals. The types of equipment offered to foreign governments, the most significant sale offers under the Obama administration for military aircraft, but in the first year for the Trump administration, missiles and bomb sales dominate. It's going to be more. It's going to be more aggressive. It's going to be more harsh and more hardcore. The top recipient of U.S. weapons in the deals proposed by Trump administration was Saudi Arabia. The Saudi-led war in Yemen, which has U.S. support, has already killed thousands of civilians and led to massive starvation. The Trump administration proposed $17.9 billion worth of arms sales to Saudi Arabia in 2017. Can we just not mess around with the Middle East anymore? Because if we support a war, it ain't good. It's never good for anyone who lives in that place, whether it's Iraq. I'd be very interested to see what happens if we just let them. We pull out completely, no troops, no nothing in that region. I'm very interested if we just pull out and we see what happens. If we just if we're there for if we lay off for a little bit, if we're like, I kind of want to see what's going on here. I really would be interested to see what is going on here. But yeah, so signing off missile and bomb sales to Saudi Arabia when the country was using these weapons to attack civilian population in Yemen sent an alarming signal about the U.S. support of human rights. Colby Goodman, and director of the Security Assistance Monitor and editor of the group's report, says Saudi-U.S. ties have grown warmer under the Trump administration, largely owing to a perceived carte blanche for the U.S. for Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabia-Yemen war, support for a Saudi blockade of erstwhile ally Qatar, a virtual silence from the U.S. in the face of a Saudi purge that reportedly involved abuse. Do not what we're doing with all these people in the Saudis. That's when they took all their biggest people, the prince did, and put them in hotels and locked them up and forced them to pretty much give up all their property value and give them straight to the king in order to get out. While his relationship with the Saudis was rocky amid nuclear diplomacy with Iran, Obama also sold Persian Gulf Kingdom billions in weapons. His barrier for sales included in 2010 included a $60 billion deal with Saudis for aircrafts and other arms. Although